We're back here live at Buffalo Wild Wings in Gadsden here on WKXX Live with Alex Maston. I'm Chase Robinson, and we're going to talk some Braves baseball now. And we have got the voice of the Atlanta Braves. You hear him right here on Fox Sports 102.9. Ben Ingram joining us. Ben, thanks for taking time with us this afternoon.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and let's get right into this week's series with the Phillies. Huge series. We knew coming in it would be. But first, I just want to talk pitching. The pitching, the starting pitching for the Braves with Morton on Tuesday, Max Fried yesterday, both being able to go deep into the game. That was so important for the Braves.
Yeah, it was enormous. I think that's what really sets the tone, and I think what you saw the last two nights is what you would need to see in games 1 and 2 of the division series so the Braves can go ahead and wrap this thing up. I think that's the most important thing when it comes to winning big baseball games late in the season. Of course, it takes other elements, but you have to have that first element. You really need good starting pitching, and the Braves have two guys who are as good as anybody right now. The way that they have been pitching down the stretch has been big. You need your big names. You need your stars to step up when you get into September and moving into October, and these guys have done that. So they've answered the bell, and hopefully that inspires Ian Anderson to be just as good tonight versus Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about Ian Anderson. Is his spot as that third guy kind of cemented in? Because what else do you really do? Or is his performance tonight still kind of a factor in whether he gets a playoff start or not?
Yeah, I think by default right now you say he's your number 3, but I don't think that's cemented in. I mean, if he goes out there tonight and he has a clunker out there, his pitch count is up and he can't locate a fastball and he's bouncing his changeup, and I don't think that they really get too turned on with going to him for their third guy once it comes to the postseason. I think they want him to be that guy. I think he fits the mold. I mean, this is a guy that you took number 3 overall 2 years back. He got the postseason last year and got some postseason experience. He was really good in the postseason last year. And you go into this season feeling like he should easily be your number 3 for the entire season. And that really hasn't happened. But as things have played out, we haven't seen Tuki Toussaint really step up for that role. We've not seen Drew Smiley step up for that role. We've not seen Huascar Noah step up for that role. So I think it falls squarely back on Ian Anderson. And I think when the Braves wanted to get things going for this series and realign their pitching rotation, they did it with that in mind, thinking it's supposed to be Ian. Surely we can see consistent stuff out of him, and they can get a good start tonight. The thing that's been so troubling for Ian is the first inning. He's got a first-inning ERA over 6 this year. He's given up runs in each of the last 3 first innings that he's pitched. Can't be doing that tonight, and you certainly can't be doing that if you get the opportunity in the third game of the postseason. So this is really big for him because you don't want to send the guys who make the decision back to the drawing board for the postseason and say, okay, who's our hottest pitcher right now, and it not be Ian Anderson. So this is a big opportunity for him tonight. He closes the book on Philadelphia tonight. I think he would get that third start come the division series with Milwaukee.
We're joined by Ben Ingram. He is the voice of the Braves on the Braves radio network. And Ben, as far as relievers, the bullpen for the Braves, talk a little bit about what you've seen from that. And you know, of course, Will Smith closed the other night. And just give us your thoughts on the bullpen and kind of the bullpen heading forward in the postseason.
Yeah, sure. I think what you've seen is what they are. I don't expect anything to turn around, really. I don't expect for Snit to say, okay, Will Smith has had way too many close calls. I'm going to go to somebody else. This is the roster that he's been given. So, therefore, this is what he's going to play, whether people like it or not. And while Will's had a good season statistically, it's definitely been up and down. It's been really tough to watch sometimes in the ninth inning, letting guys on base and close calls and blown leads and things like that. But I'd say the fans who want the Braves to do something else, I feel like you're going to have to wait to the offseason until you can go get somebody else, or you can change the guys that you have in your bullpen. I think for the most part you feel pretty good about the bullpen, heading those guys a lead, what Magic has done, what Luke Jackson has done. They've been really good here lately. Hopefully Richard Rodriguez is out of that home run funk because he had a stretch where he gave up homers in 4 out of 5 appearances, but you need these guys to be good, and I think you've got some good answers down there. You just want it to be a less stressful ninth inning, and I'm here to tell you that I don't know that that's really going to take place. I think what they are is exactly who they are, and if things have been stressful during the regular season, and I expect them to be stressful when you get to the 8th and 9th inning during the postseason, because I don't expect 8-1 leads in division series games. I think it's going to be tight. I think you're playing really good teams, and you should expect it to be a one-run or tie ball game going late into a game. So these guys will be under the microscope, and the stage will be as big as it's ever been. And it's hard for me to imagine that what Snit has done throughout the season is going to be any different than what he does come the postseason. So hopefully those guys are hot, and hopefully they're throwing strikes and getting ahead, and a lot fewer stressful innings would be great for all of us. Yeah,
no kidding. I got a kick out of Will Smith after the game the other night saying he was probably going to go into the clubhouse from a text from his dad talking about his heart medicine and, hey, can he make this a little easier on everybody? I think he's speaking for all the Braves country right there.
Yeah, he is. And look, the other night, I can give Will a little bit of a pass the other night because that wasn't necessarily his fault. You had the error in left field by Eddie Rosario. And if it's not for that, you get to the inning, no problem. The game probably finishes 2-0, and maybe they get a guy on base, but that's it. But it just kind of falls in line with a string of stressful outings that he has had where a lot of those were his fault. And what happened in San Diego the other day on Sunday was about as stressful as you can imagine. I mean, I can't remember an inning where a closer walked 3 and struck out 3. That was nuts, and leave it to Will to figure out a way to get through that. But you get to that come the postseason, and it's going to be all hands on deck. I think everybody's going to be chewing their fingernails down to the nubs at that point. So that's kind of what I expect, though, because that's what we've seen during the regular season.
Hey, Ben, staying on that play the other night in left field by Rosario, there was a play also last night where it seemed like I thought he was going to drop it at the last second. He struggled a little bit. Are you worried about outfield defense at all? You know, we're kind of stacking the order with these hitters with Soler, Duvall, and Rosario. Do you worry late in the game? I know they might make that defensive adjustment and put Heredia in, but overall, are you worried about the outfield defense at all?
No, I don't think so. I think what happened the other night with Eddie, I mean, we haven't seen him become a liability defensively. That's really the only play that's taken place where he had a bad read on a ball, and you just hope that it doesn't happen in the biggest spot once you get to the postseason. I don't think there are a bunch of gold glovers out there, but I don't think you've got any butchers out there. I don't see any liabilities, and like you mentioned, late in games, you're going to have that defensive change late in games where Guillermo takes over in center field. He's been terrific. I feel comfortable with Adam Duvall anywhere out there. I don't think Eddie Rosario is fine in the left. I don't expect greatness out of Eddie Rosario, but I think he is better than most people would give him credit for. So not a whole lot of worry there, and hopefully they can just make the routine plays. I feel really good about the defense on the infield. I think they've been elite. I think all 4 of those guys should be finalists for Gold Gloves in the National League, and to me, what they've done with their sticks is really impressive. Everybody wants to talk about that, and everybody 25-plus home runs. I think what the infield's done with their gloves has been even if not more impressive, then equally as impressive as anything they've done offensively.
We're talking with Ben Ingram, the voice of the Atlanta Braves on the Braves Radio Network. You'll hear the game coming up in just a little while here on Fox Sports 102.9. But, Ben, let's talk about the offense for just a second. You got guys like Dansby Swanson with a 3-hit game last night. Austin Riley has been hitting fantastic. Freddie Freeman, all these guys who have been doing well offensively, and how important is offensive consistency going to be heading in even to tonight's game, the Mets series, and then eventually in the postseason?
Well, it's obviously big, but I think how you get there is the important part. Now, look at the last 2 nights. If you had told me prior to this series that the Braves would be going into Game 3 of this series with Philadelphia and they had not homered yet, I would have guessed that they had lost the first 2 games. The last 2 nights are only the 10th and 11th wins they have had all season when they did not homer. So while it's not quite homer or bust, it's not quite live and die by the homer, but it's pretty close. They can manufacture runs. This is a team that thrives on home runs, and when they don't hit them, they typically lose the ball game. So it was refreshing to see what we saw last night, especially in the 7th inning, scoring a bunch of runs without hitting the ball out of the ballpark. When you get to the postseason, there will be home runs. I'm not saying that there won't be any, but 2 things are going to come into play. Are you able to manufacture runs without hitting the long ball? And 2, are you able to come through with 2-out base hits? 2-out base hits are so big in Major League Baseball, but especially in the postseason. Everybody in the postseason can pitch. Everybody has aces in their rotation. Everybody's got guys coming out of the bullpen throwing 95-plus, and you're going to be faced with multiple situations of guys in scoring position and 2 down. And if you can't get that clutch base hit, you're not going to advance. But when you get to the postseason, that's so clutch. You have to have those 2-out base hits to drive in runs. And the Braves done a nice job of that the last 2 nights, and that's kind of going up and down, which I think most teams experience that. I don't know anybody that's just great at that every single time they take the field. But it's been good to see them do that in the clutch, and if you get to the postseason, that's going to be a key stat because the team that does that and executes with 2 downs is going to be the team that advances, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben Ingram from the Braves Radio Network getting ready for Game 3 tonight between the Braves and the Phillies. You'll hear it right here on Fox Sports 102.9 in just a little while. But, Ben, thanks so much for taking time with us this afternoon. We'll be listening to you tonight.
I appreciate it, fellas. Thank you.